Hello, I'm Merle Gilson. Today I'm using my Bernina 780 sewing computer. I will show you how I do curve cross-hatching using the 3-inch circular ruler from the Bernina Ruler kit for sit-down models. I have already lowered the feed dogs and I'm using the ruler foot number 72. Before I started, I drew a block of 6 inches and then I drew diagonal lines across the block. I then marked each line with half-inch increments. This is just to give me a guide for when I'm doing my cross-hatching. I'm now going to start the quilting. So when we use the sit-down ruler kit, we actually do circles from inside the ruler. I have already raised my bottom thread and I'm now going to gently push my ruler against my foot and create the circle. Go slowly and reposition your hands when it becomes necessary. Okay, at this point, I'm going to make sure that my needle is in the down position. I'm going to release this little stopper, which actually helps us when we're doing the ruler work with the circles, and take the same ruler out. Before I started, I also drew a 1/4 inch from there to there with using a felt tip pen, and it's just a guide. You can easily get this mark off using any spirits. I'm now going to line up again my diagonal line with the line on the ruler. And I'm going to also bear in mind that there's a 1/4 inch from the needle to the edge of the ruler. And I have to try and guesstimate, I'm going to use that word, because it's just a judgment, that when I come across here against the ruler, that the stitching line is going to be in this area here. I can already see I need to come back a fraction, and now I'm going to gently sew until I get to my outer circle. Now I need to advance, and I'm going to sew along my outer circle, and normally I like to use the edge of the foot because that is a 1/4 inch. I will reposition the foot, but I can see the ruler, but I can see we're not in the correct position yet. And again, I'm lining up my ruler with the diagonal line that I marked, and I'm using my judgment to see if I'm going to hit that mark or not. It's just a guide, so don't get too worried about if you haven't hit it absolutely accurately. Okay, I'm going to continue. And I've gone too far, so now I'm going to come back. And again, I'm going to reposition. You can actually, if you've got a small project, you can actually just check it by turning it slightly. And again, I'm going to reposition. What I'm doing, I'm lining my ruler up with the line that I've drawn. I'm also checking the 1/4 inch that I drew on my ruler is in line with the seam that I've just sewn. Okay, now you can start at any side which is comfortable for you. I'm now going to start from this side because I'm closest to this area. I'm now going to line up my ruler my line there with my diagonal line, and I'm also using a judgment to make sure that I'm approximately 1/4 of an inch away from here to that mark that I've made. Now I'm going to backtrack, and I'm going to reposition my ruler, and I'm going to just check and see, yes, my lines are lining up. Now again, we're going to backtrack, and I'm going to reposition my ruler. I'm going to backtrack again, reposition my ruler, once again lining it up. I can come back a fraction. And backtracking, I'm going to reposition. You can see I didn't quite hit the mark, but I'm not going to worry too much about that, because at the end of the day these marks will come out, but I can go forward a teeny bit. Okay, and there is the cross-hatching. Now, what would be the purpose of doing cross-hatching and just leaving it like that within a block? I normally would do a feather. So let me show you how I do my feathers. I do like the bump method. I find that it just takes the pressure off, instead of having to backtrack along each of these lines when you're doing the finger method for feathers. What I like to do is I like to fill up the space. I don't know if you noticed what I did there. Let me show you. I didn't pull my feather, lift my foot. I didn't pull my feather straight out from there. I actually traveled a little bit, and it becomes a judgment call. And it depends what you like with feathers. Some people like the feathers long and thin, and others like them short and fat. I need to try and regulate my hand and machine coordination. Just move that thread out the way. I do have a Bernina Q24 long arm machine, and I do have the Q20 sit down machine. So I'm very spoiled because they have stitch regulators, and it takes away the pressure of trying to regulate my stitches. Okay, now it always becomes a problem when you get to the end. So what I like to do, I like to stop and have a look. If I came up and did a bounce around there, would it look okay? And I think it is. And you just have to make a judgment as to how much space you've got, whether you can do another feather. And in this case, I do backtrack, and bounce. And I do like to echo, and I will just move that thread out of the way. Something I do like to do when I get to a point, I always like to hover just a second so the machine will actually sew 2 or 3 stitches. That actually just secures your corners and prevents any tension issues or ugly stitches. Okay, we're almost done. We just move that out of the way. I'm not a big fan of using the gloves because when you use the gloves and you want to sew in your threads, which I do not like cutting threads off. It becomes a problem for me. So therefore I've got so used to working without the gloves. So now I will bring up the thread, bring up my bottom thread, foot down, needle up, foot up, and here comes my bottom thread. And I will actually sew these threads in. I just find that that looks so much neater when you sew them in, as opposed to just doing a few securing stitches and cutting them off. And there you have it. There is a informal feather wreath with cross hatching.